What's up, guys? Saint Nick's Picks. I'm back for the end of the year 2022, and we're gonna do the best albums top 5 of rap in 2022 featuring
What's up, gang? It's crazy. Hey, let's get at it, man. Top five picks
top
of the
5.
year. Let's
Yo,
get it.
let's get it. So for my top 5, how am I gonna go? It's gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Puis je vais nommer les meilleurs de 2022. Donc aujourd'hui, on va commencer avec Vinyl Days de Logic, un des meilleurs albums de rap de 2022. Mais le numéro 5 parce que c'était mon genre de musique. Mais il y avait beaucoup de chansons qui étaient dedans qui faisaient pas trop de rapport. Il y avait trop d'intro. There was too much intros. There was too much outros. But the melody in that, the sampling, the beats, like for example in Tetris, La Donda, Clouds, those were bangers. And honestly, the features of Nardward and Fantano actually click in, and it really does feel like a 1980s, 1990s type of album.
I'm gonna have some honorable mentions. Two albums that didn't make the list, but phenomenal albums. I got Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage. I mean, that duo is incredible. We have great beats on the album. I would say some of them should be better. They're made, for example, on like I wasn't a big fan of that major distribution beat switch. I would also say Jumbotron, Chip Poppin', 3M on Glenwood, but almost I wish I had a better beat. So I would say really the beats. You had some of them that were just big bangers, like Rich Flags that beat switches and the way that they come on the track together. I would also say Pussy and Millions. I would say my personal favorite on the album by himself, Middle of the Ocean, incredible track. So I would say Indoors Twins. Spin Botch I think is the best song in the album. So that's what I love. The chemistry is there, or just maybe better beats on it for a big album like that. I would say that's what was missing. So I'd say honorable mention, still an incredible album. And I would also put Wasteland by Brent Fayez. I mean, the story's a bit crazy, where he's with a girl and she has a kid, and with this toxic relationship that he likes in his albums. And I love how he got songs like Rolling Stone, Jackie Brown, Addictions, All Mine, all beats that you're able to feel the atmosphere that he goes in, and to feel those emotions that he goes throughout the album, or emotions that you felt outside of it that are on the relationship that is toxic. So I'd say Wasteland is easily, I shouldn't make my list, but I would say just the consistency of good albums on this is just incredible. So for my number 5, looking back at it, I took Joey Badass's 1000. I mean, he came back of a 5-year hiatus. And I mean, how he brought the album together is just incredible. I would say that the beats are incredible. It still stays back to his roots, jazz rap, a lot of, soul rapping, soul sampling, also the problems that he talks about, he brings it on. He brings in incredible tracks like Survivor's Guilt from his story about Capitalist Tees, who sadly passed away 10 years ago, how it's his brother and how he lost him and now he regrets, not having a chance to fix that. I would say my personal favorite, two of them are Brand New 911, which is incredible, West Side Gun, who also had one of the greatest albums. I mean, this year, albums were incredible. That's why it sucks to have a 5 list. But I mean, Brand 911, and I would also say Where I Belong are really the best tracks of the album, but I would say what was lacking a bit, that's why it's not my first. I would say is also production. I mean, there's some beats that were a bit slow, half-assed, I think he could have been better. And also some guests that he brought, I wasn't a fan of, like Chris Brown really on the track. So I would say that's what's missing, but still stays an incredible album. That's my number 5.
All right. Now coming in at number 4, we got Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage. Drake has came back from 2016 form, and that honestly, never mind, was his shittiest project ever, which I might do a top 5 list about the worst rap albums of 2022, and if I do, honestly, never mind is one of the worst albums. But Her Loss, he bounced back with 21 Savage. He's like, fuck, I gotta get shit together, and then boom, he drops that. Like, that album is really nice. It's a really nice song. It's a really nice, like, it brings your energy a bit throughout more, which I like about it. It makes me like want to fucking dance my heart out. Bro, you got that song on BS. You got privileged rappers. You got Spin About You. There's some stories to that. There's also a little diss about, let's say, Andrew Tate on Spin About You. It's normal. I mean, Drake is Drake, so who gives a shit there? You got Hours in Silence. Also, it's a banger. Circo Loco. I really like about what they did with Daft Punk, where they took his beat and they sampled it a bit to make it a newer beat, which is really nice. Also, I like that. Also, you have Pussy in Millions. Travis Scott killed that feature. He's like, okay, I got it, killed it. And then with Broke Boys, it's just a nice song. Like he said, honestly, this album is in the fort.
I would say for my fourth album, I put Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick. How is it for? Well, it's my favorite albums, right? And I liked it, but like I said, I think for 5 years, it's good. It's a good fourth album. And the reason why is after 5 years, he did came back with United Grief and 95. What a way to come back. Just to start with the tracks. Father Time, Die Hard. Purple Hearts is incredible. We Cry Together, what a track. What a way to bring a dramatic scene into all together. So Mr. Morale is a great track. Calm Me Out. Baby Kim's presence is incredible on it. I really love the album. It's a great album. But what's missing for my personal enjoyment is I would say the structure of the tracks, the way he brings them. I think he could bring in a little bit more emotion. He could bring in a little bit more of when I think about it, better beats. Die Hard was a bit of a slow beat, tired beat. It's a great track, but I think he should have brought more stuff into it. Maybe better features too. Bring in a guy like Abraham Fayez to sing your hooks instead of him. Bring in a guy like people are waiting for another big feature. That it'd be Tyler the Creator or Ella the Weeknd or just names coming off of my head. Drake. Even though they had their beef, tried to fix it all together. Kanye. I think that's what was missing off the album. So for 5 years, he still brings in it, and then phenomenal album. But I got number four. There's missing too many stuff on it. I was really hesitating between that and Jid the Forever Story, but the Forever Story, I just think the features really sold out the album, even though it's an incredible album. So that's at my number four.
All right. Coming in at number three, we got I Never Liked You by Future. And man, Future is pulling it up and cooking some stuff in his little pothole that we call his albums. We got F12 PM. That is such a good way to start off an album. Hyping up the people so that way they could get into it and just be more into the album. Also, the songs I'm That, Puffin' on Zooted, Massaging Me, Chickens. This album is actually nice. I'm on one where he features, where he has a feature of Drake. The song goes well, miraculously. Also, what I like about this album is its hype. I find this is the most hype album of 2022, which that we needed for this year. Like this year, we got 2020, 2021, where it was okay. Like there was not a lot of good albums, quote unquote. And honestly, with this, it's just changed. Like Future is better and better. He is back a bit like Drake, but here is backer and better. So with number three, I got I Never Liked You.
With number three, I got Gemini Rights, Steve Lacy. What an album! I mean, coming into Steve Lacy, shout out to my boy Brian. He's like, bro, you gotta listen to him. And I was calling him at start. I'm like, yeah, I didn't like his last album. It was really half-assed. And then coming into Gemini Rights, Bad Habits was an incredible track. When you put down, I'm like, damn, what a track! And you have Mercury, what a track! What a track! So, coming in the album, I'm like, okay, there is potential, and he fulfilled it. I mean, the enjoyment I have out of it, listening from him, having inspirations from back when Stevie Wonder released his songs in the 70s, that soul voice he uses. You see the inspiration of Marvin Gaye's era, of when he made I Want You, or What's Going On. You see the big inspiration by the soul music from that time. So I mean, listening to the album with those inspirations being in there, what a listen. I loved it. What would I give it? I mean, I would give it a third spot on my year listen, but it came close. I'm almost being maybe second. But I still think there's maybe missing better structure in his tracks. Making maybe a better build up lyrically. Lyrics. I mean, maybe better construction of lyrics, which Brent Faiyaz has better of his, I give. But I personally enjoyed more Gemini Rides this year than the other albums, so I give that number three. I mean, Steve Lacy just shocked me, and he's a new artist I'm excited to listen to going on. You know, is he going to become the guy that he could be? Is he going to fulfill his potential? So, I mean, Gemini Rides is just a foot towards it, so that's my number three.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got number top two. We got number two. We got Mr. Morals and the Big Stepper by Kendrick Lamar. Boys, he is back. He is back and making more tracks like he is cooking it up. This guy is cooking it up like he was making Good Kid, Mad City. And I love it. This is by far one of his best projects that he has ever done. Like, he is coming off of a 3 or 4 year stretch, and then he's coming out with this out of nowhere. I mean, what do I have to say? The production on this was really nice. The beats on it were nice. They were fitting well with the album. The mood in the room, well, yeah, the tone in the room was really nice with playing this. And the songs that are on it, like United in Grief, it's a great intro for coming back. Of course, like, for real. N95 is such a banger. One of the best songs in 2022. It's such a good hype song that gets you hyped up and gets you ready. You got Die Hard, you got Father Time, you got Purple Heart, you got Silence Hill, you got Savior. These are all so good songs by Kendrick. The production, his voice on it is so amazing. Mr. Morals, the sampling of a Cowboys fan crying, losing to Seahawks, that made me smile. Like, that is really nice. And then you got finishing it off the Hard Part 5. And the Hard Part 5, he is mentioning a lot of rappers. He is mentioning a lot of people like Will Smith, Kanye West. You also got Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace to him. And it's a nice tribute song. It's nice everything. So, yeah. And then we got number two from Chris.
Number two, I mean, it came down really tight. It's like last minute stuff. It's really tight between these two albums, but my number two is gotta be Melt My Eyes, See Your Future by Denzel Curry. What an incredible album. Just bought it in vinyl and listening to it again on vinyl and on the live soul version. I mean, what an album. I mean, it should have been number one, but that number one album that released was just too much of an experience that I cannot put on number one. I mean, such a great album from Denzel. Probably his best after Taboo. Really tight between that and Taboo, but I mean, the problems he brings in, the beats he uses, it's almost flawless. I would say the only flaw I would give is The Smell of Ills. I think that's the name of the track. He half-asses it a bit, and like a interlude almost, and like gibberish wording uses, but it's not even that bad for him using a gibberish type of song. I mean, it's just that song that's the reason why it's not number one, but it could have been number one. It's so hard, but it's number two, and I would say every track almost, except for that one that I mentioned, The Smell of Hills, is just incredible. The words he uses, I mean, and the lyrics and the way he makes you feel from talking about racism to him having insecurities with his woman problems, with his rapping problems, with his homies problems, with his jail problems, with his friends dying problem. So all of that together just brings him to an experience that you cannot forget. So Melt My Eyes, See Your Future is at number two. So for the number one album, Nick?
Number one. Are you ready for it?
Yeah,
Are you ready for number one?
Go, man.
It is Melt My Eyes and See Your Future by Denzel Curry. I mean, this is the best album in 2022. I'd even say it might be one of the top 3 best albums of the 2020s. This album is revolutionary to some of the rappers, some of the people that are out there that want to have a rapping career. Listen, I have a lot of people that come up to me and tell me, Melt My Eyes, Sees Your Future. That should be number one. It is number one in 2022 of rap. It is this, it is that. You should listen to it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. I listened to it, blew my mind out. Walkin' is such an amazing song. One of the top 2 best songs of 2022. You got John Wayne, which even adds in to the pot. It adds into the mix. It adds into the song. He puts his heart and soul into that song. Trouble, T-Pain, what the fuck? He looks like he is back. T-Pain was amazing on that track. He was one of the best on that track. Ain't No Way is also really good. X-Wing, that really gets into like me and my grind mode. Like I go to the gym and I put that shit on. I ask other people if they want to put and they want to listen to it with me. They give it a shot. They say that they love it. And Sandro is really a song that I find is when you're in a hurry and you need to find a good song for that hurry moment. And like that is such a clutch song. There's also other songs on this that I really, really like. That's why this album is like, I'd say 9.5 out of 10. It's a really good album that finishes off an incredible. I'm just really excited to see what Denzel is going to do again for next year or in 2 years. I'm really just excited to see what he is about to do and what he is going to deliver us.
One for me, by far, not by far, by really closely, I mean, it's got to be Don FM's, Don FM by The Weeknd. What an album. I mean, he loves synth pop, and for him to bring it in such a great way, 80s pop, that he brought back to life with After Hours, which is another incredible album. I had to put Don FM number one. I mean, just he starts off the track with having like a radio 80s team with Jim Carrey narrating it, and having special guests like well, of course, I mean the features are considered special guests. So Tyler the Creator, Quincy Jones, a famous 80s pop producer that had guys like Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, who he worked with. So I had to put it number one. I mean, even the Lil Wayne feature, which wasn't the best feature, but how he brought it was incredible. I would say Tyler the Creator's it's a melodic, but not that big performance. No, it's not a banger. It's just a chill track. What a way that he raps on it. Also, Swedish House Mafia's production is incredible. So that's why it's on my number one. Him falling in love with a woman that he's not sure because he doesn't know how to tell her, and it's like a friendish girl or a girl he barely just knew, and it goes on with him getting rejected, and because he took too much time into a girl that he thought was only his best friend, and it's really it's all narrated from how he explains it to how it finishes. And he finishes that he gets rejected and that he just feels like he got what he deserved by being just asshole, being a jerk. So, I would put on number one. What a great album. I mean, just you feel what he's saying. You relate to what he's saying. And what an album for me. I can't put anything else over it. I mean, for this year, I mean, I fell in love even more with The Weeknd with this album. I think it solidifies his After Hours and Don FM Asian together. So that's how I would say. And to Autumn, what I really liked of the album is really how he takes inspirations, but he takes them on another level. In the last album we see his inspirations from Michael Jackson, from Prince, from even to a certain extent from the Madonnas of that era, where he took the same type of beat aesthetic. But he went even farther by taking some Duran Duran, some Duran Duran, Depeche Mode type of inspirations, which you don't see for being groups for being artists that were known but not at the height of a Michael Jackson or a Prince. So if we're seeing him dig into it and do it even better, like a song like Gasoline, which I find is an incredible track. People sleep on it, but such an incredible track, such a masterpiece. So yeah, I would have that. Number one. I just love it, man. It's an incredible album, and like I said, these are a list for the albums we enjoyed. Not the best, don't get it twisted. Not the best, but our favorites. So the Forever Story could be number one. Honestly, number one could be number one if it's you think it's the best. But our favorites are that, and I wouldn't exchange it for anything else. So yeah.
Before heading out, I just want to thank y'all for an amazing 2022. I came here with a goal to have like more than 100 subscribers, and we are more than 100 subscribers. I got my first special guest here. What I want to do is try to get more special guests so we could get this fun and we could get the vibe going. We could get the albums recommended. I might create a website that you guys could put in your albums and I'd review them, or I could just give you guys some simple reviews just like that. But we have big projects coming up for 2023, and I'm just excited to be with you guys. So, Big Nick Picks, Chris Kalot,
What's up?
signing out. Peace.